live, live from the UK.
Come on in, guys. Come on in. Come join us.
So, did you watch the second episode?
I did, yeah. I watched it yesterday, and it was very good. It's definitely, the best Marvel. Well, I haven't seen many of the DC kind of TV shows, but it's definitely the best Marvel one compared to Agents of Shield, which is, I agree with you, is terrible. So, yeah, no, it was a great kind of surprise.
Okay, let's start out the first maybe few minutes spoiler free. Okay,
Yeah.
so that for those that have not watched the show, they will stop watching after the first 10 minutes.
Sure.
But did you have any? Well, I think you and I and most people, we just went into this fairly open-minded, right? We don't really have high or low expectation. We don't know what to get.
I think I've watched a lot of shows on Netflix, like House of Cards. I just watched a show called Bloodline. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a new one that they've just created. And I think with Netflix, you kind of know it's going to be slightly dark.
Yeah.
Themes are always very dark. The protagonists aren't always someone you root for throughout, if you know what I mean. So I think I knew it would be different, and they would have a lot more free reign. They wouldn't kind of, say, oh, we can't do that because a 13-year-old might be watching. It's out there, and people can watch it in their way. I thought the promotion was really good. I don't know what it was like in the US, but they had they had a lot of advertising in the UK, even in where I live in Bristol. A lot of kind of ad boards as you're driving past, which you wouldn't get for shows like Arrow, shows like Flash, even Agents of Shield. You didn't really get that. So I think they marketed it really well.
Yeah, I think the promo was fairly, I wouldn't say heavy over here. I saw only one clip, and the clip wasn't anything that wowed me or anything. It looked interesting, but so when I went into the show, I was pleasantly surprised. I find myself enjoying right away. It was one of those things when you sit down and after the first 10 minutes, you're just like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah. I didn't see it. I don't think I did see a trailer or anything. I just saw these kind of posters, and I'm on Facebook, and they kind of put, because I'm kind of into this for my job, but they put like little videos that automatically started in your Facebook feed, and it was very kind of simple animation, like the streets were running with red, to kind of look like blood or whatever, and then it'd light up. So I thought it was kind of clever and subtle, because people who don't know anything about Daredevil or comic books will probably go, I've got Netflix. What's this? I remember the film, but so I think it was quite clever, very subtle.
Yeah, in the US they had like maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute commercial.
Yeah.
And all you get is a little bit. You get to see him wearing that black hood.
Yeah.
So you get to see that, yes, he's gonna be wearing this black little outfit thing, but that's about all. I mean, I did see a teaser of his red outfit the day before the launch. So have you seen that?
Briefly, only literally half a second shot. I think at the end of something I've seen it. It just kind of flashed up at the end and then cut away.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay. So are you familiar with any of the actors and actress in the show?
I am Vincent. How do you pronounce his surname? Kingpin. Who will be Kingpin?
He's Italian. That's all I know.
Yeah. I'm familiar with him because of Full Metal Jacket. I remember him fondly from that film. Private
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, and he's obviously great in that. Other than that, not at all. Actually, there's a guy that you might have noticed is one of the bad guys in the first episode. Is actually the prison Warden from the Shawshank Redemption, the bad, the main.
I gotta go back and rewatch it because the girl.
No. I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked it up, so I'm just going off of faces. But I'm pretty.
The girl that's in the show.
Not the girl.
She looked very familiar.
The guy.
She looked very familiar. I'm sure I have seen her in other TV shows.
Right.
But whatever role she had was so minor that it didn't register with me as far as what's her name, anything like that. But I thought the casting was fantastic. From now that I watched the first 2 episodes, I'm just like, well done. Well done.
Yeah. I've never seen the lead actor. I forgot his name. Charlie Cox. I've never seen him in anything before.
The only thing that I had never heard of Charlie Cox. I heard of Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
I heard the show, never watched any of it. I think it was an HBO show. I don't know. I don't have HBO, so most shows on HBO I do not see. It's just like Game of Thrones. I seen the first 2 seasons via Netflix DVD thing.
Okay, yeah.
So, but it's not on streaming, so I had to wait until the DVD come out to order the whole series. So,
yeah,
so I'm not a big HBO consumer, not yet. I might now that they launch an a la carte kind of service.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. I don't think that's available to the UK, but I'll find ways of finding them.
So I think if they charge me $10 to get access to all the HBO show, I might do that, because I do enjoy a lot of what HBO has to offer. Okay, so the first episode, I give it big thumbs up. The second episode, let's go a spoiler-free discussion real quick, and then we're going to go into the spoiler-filled discussion, okay?
Okay.
I had no idea what episode 2 is going to be, but I went into it, and I enjoy it just as much as episode 1.
Right, yeah. I think I enjoyed it even more.
Because it's the first 5 or 10 minutes of episode 2, you kind of just like, where is this going?
Have I missed an episode?
Yeah, you kind of because I like this kind of, I wouldn't call it non-linear storytelling. I like shows that don't spoon feed you from A to Z.
Yeah.
You had to fill in some blanks and because it's just too much to go from like, this is what happened that lead to A and B and C. I'd rather see. So I like the fact that they kind of throw you in, and then you kind of like had to kind of figure out what happened the first 10 minutes, and then boom, it going to full speed.
Yeah. No, it was a much kind of slower, a lot more kind of conversation. But I read something that you find a lot of the stuff on Netflix doesn't need to be okay. Quick, we've got to speed up this chatty scene between, let's say, Matt Murdock and the nurse, because we've got to get through this time. Netflix, you can just browse it. You're probably going to watch a few in a row, so those scenes can be kind of a lot longer and build relationships. So I really like that, and
I like this format so much. Because one of the things that I like about Netflix shows, just like I'm sure you're a huge House of Cards fan. I would guess, is that because it's shot like a mini movie, right? So there is never any break. Like when you watch a regular TV show that are designed for regular ABC or NBC, they design the scenes with commercial in mind. So they kind of cut things in pieces so that they can break in a commercial without interruption. You know what I mean? So it's a different flow when you watch a show that was shot intentionally with commercial insert in them.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't actually thought of that. And the way I watch TV now is, if it is something with commercials, I will record it and then just fast forward.
Yeah.
Through it, because it's just too much.
Absolutely, I do the same. I think most of us do the same thing with commercial, because they are designed to insert in 2 minutes of commercial every 10 or 15 minutes. The show is shot with that kind of mindset.
Yeah, and to hold the kind of drama on that break, yeah.
So you can't have this long 10-minute conversation with nothing else going on.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
You just can't. So that's why that's what make the Netflix show good in my opinion, because just like many HBO show, it allow the scene to play out normally instead of like rushing through the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've done the I gave the thumbs up to episode 2 also, and we can go into the spoiler film discussion of the first 2. Before we go there, have you seen episode 3?
No.
Okay, good. I have not. I have promised myself not to watch that 3rd episode until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday.
No, that sounds right. It might probably be about Thursday. But the only thing I don't like about Netflix is when you finish the episode, already it gives you the kind of synopsis of the next one. Yeah. And so you're kind of just like, whoa, you don't want to read it.
That's what I do. I turn off the iPad right away. I'm just like, I don't want to know. Okay, so let's go into the spill of film. Okay, I mean, like I said, being that I know nothing about the actor, I had to say that I was pleasantly surprised at the action scene right off the first episode. Because I don't know if this guy can do action.
Yeah.
And the way they shot the action scenes, it's very believable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No, they don't. Like how people always complain, like shaky cam or close up. You don't see the action, but when you see a full view of the body and the full motion of the arm, the leg, whatever, then you see that he's actually doing it.
Yeah. You could tell it was very rehearsed, because often when TV shows try to do it in one long continuous take or something, you'll often see a miss punch or something, and straight away that takes you out of the scene. Whereas this just seemed, I was really quite kind of looking at it and going, no, he's made that punch, but God, what, and it was just really well rehearsed and really well choreographed. So, the fight scene director in both episodes, probably same guy, obviously. Pretty amazing.
And the first episode, I like how they just give you just a small piece of his origin. That's just enough.
Yeah.
You just see the little accident and he's blind. Give you a little bits of his father relationship kind of thing, and then it jump into it. I think that's what make some show good. Like if you have you ever watched Arrow?
I only watched one episode.
Yeah, that the problem with what make Arrow, the TV show, good the first 2 seasons is that they kind of drop you little piece here and there throughout the season, so you left with a lot of guessing and wrong for the answer. And now they just throw all kind of crap at you, and the season 3 and 4 season 3 has become nothing but a bore. But with Daredevil, I like how the storytelling is to my liking. That's the best way I can explain it. I don't have a terminology for it. I just know that it works for me.
Yeah. I think when they try and do an origin story, either in films or TV, it's basically showing why this person is who they are and their character. But I think what they've done here is there's kind of, and I'm sure they'll keep spreading it out over the series, is how that affects his kind of character and his motivation in that episode.
Yeah.
So one was about what was it called? Cut something. And I think it kind of refers to when you've been in a boxing match and you're kind of healing that kind of cut on your face. And that meant it literally when he was doing it to his dad, and it meant it with the nurse, doing it to him in real life. And I think that's a lot better storytelling than just going, here it is, first episode, this is what you need to know happened to him. Blah, blah.
Yeah. They and I think by doing so, it's allow it draws us in to the story and draw us into a lot of questions. I mean, for those that never, I think what makes the show works, I think, is because if you are not a comic book fan and never read Daredevil, you still think it is a good thriller / detective crime drama.
Yes. Yeah. Can I ask? Did you watch this with your wife, or was it just yourself?
I did not because Friday when the show came out, originally I was going to wait, but I could not wait. She was working, and I did tell her today though. I did tell her that please watch the first 2 episodes today.
Yeah.
So that in the future I will do my best to wait for her because my wife taste in TV shows is not as tough as mine. She like a lot of shows that I cannot stand. Okay, I mean, hey, my wife can watch Twilight the movies multiple times. I can't stomach it. So I know she will like it. I know she will like it. It's just that we just had to find time to watch it together. Now I take that your fiance watch it with you.
Well, yeah, she did. Yeah, and the way I kind of sold it to her was that there was more of a kind of a Law and Order kind of angle that will come in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be courtroom scenes and detective type work, and I think that's better. The gore and the fighting is probably not a huge appeal. The blood.
So the big question is, did she enjoy the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Okay, so it's to me that's what works is for us comic book fan, a lot of time we kind of go too hardcore that something must be like the comic books because it doesn't stay true. And I think what Daredevil, I couldn't care less if it's gonna stay true to the comic books or not. After I watched the first 2 episodes, I'm just like, this is working. If you're going down this path, keep going down this path. I don't need to see any kind of stay true to the comic book. And in many ways, they are staying true to the comic book.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, how many kind of nods did you see to the comics, and what ones were they?
Well, the biggest nod is his costume.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the run where Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. did.
I haven't read it.
If you can look for that, there's a story, a short run where Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. did, and he actually wear a black costume with that black mask over his eyes.
Right.
So that was probably the biggest nod to the comic book, was that costume.
Right. Okay.
Up until that point, we are so used to seeing Daredevil in the red costume, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have never seen him wear just like a black bandana over his eyes. I mean, so in many ways, that's the biggest nod. The other nod, of course, is I like the dark tone, right? Everything is dark at night kind of feel to, even like the hallway is always kind of dark, dimly lit. The alley, all those little rooftop things, that's stay true to how the comic book tend to be drawn in the past. Personality.
I read the way they've kind of created Hell's Kitchen to look like it did in the kind of 70s in the comic books, where it was a bit of a rougher area. Is that was the area in the Avengers film that got demolished. So now it's kind of like this broken down area of New York City, which I thought was quite a clever link because, you did start to think, this looks like a time gone by of New York rather than a modern day. But if that's how they're justifying it, it's quite a clever link, I think.
It's I like the supporting cast. Foggy Nelson.
It looks like a chubby Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and I think he had just enough comic relief.
Yeah.
To make it good. I mean, my biggest complaint with most movies, especially Marvel movies or TV shows, is that the comic relief often are not timely done and too often. There are a fine line where, okay, it's good to have a little zinger in here, a little comic relief to kind of cool down the tension, but some Marvel movie, it was just like a big fat jokes.
Well, it's a bit like the old Bond films, isn't it? Where the joke is just, it seems a bit kind of old fashioned now. That's what I found in some of the other, kind of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I watched it and I was just like, kind of cringing. Whereas I think when he was, like the scene when he was drunk, and he's kind of shouting out about the swordfish, I kind of laughed out loud at that because it's kind of relatable, it's realistic,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's okay to have, and I think that's what Foggy is doing. Is he definitely is a comic relief of the show, right? And I think I'm okay with that. I'm kind of glad that they have that element, so it's not always dark and serious and gloomy. Okay, so going to the second episode, I can tell you right off the bat, the last 10 minutes, the fight scene is incredible.
Yeah, it's very good.
That's one of the best. That is one of the best bare fist fight I have seen on TV show ever, because it's very realism where you see he get his ass kicked.
Yeah,
so he took the beating along with giving out the beating. So it was not like Jason Statham walking into a room with 10 bad guy and karate chop them all down in 10 minutes and in 5 minutes like I'm done. No, he went into a brawl, into one room, into the alley, into another room, and it was just brutal. It was just a brutal fist to fist kind of thing. And I sit there and I watch it and I'm just like, that's like the best ass kicking fist fighting scene I see on TV ever.
Because they shot it to look like it was one continuous take.
Yeah.
And they really, I don't know if you've seen it, Old Boy, the South Korean film. Have you ever seen that? And
yes.
He goes down the kind of hallway doing the same sort of thing. He's fighting off all the gangsters and stuff. It's different shot, but it's the same in a kind of dimly lit hallway. And it really reminded me of that. But I just loved how they set it up. They kind of went in, looked in one room, they followed the guy out, didn't they, from the kid, and then they're playing poker, and it was just really well set up. Really, I think that helped.
Yeah, that the last 10 minutes of that show was, or 5 minutes or whatever it was, how long the fight was, but leading up into that fight was so good. And like I said, it ended. The episode was good. I like the Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
I like the fact that his secret is revealed so quickly.
That's true. Yeah.
Some people might not like that. Some people like just like they shouldn't have done that. But to me, I like that already. At least one or two person know his secret identity.
Yeah, I mean, audience are very kind of savvy now. Excuse me, because they've seen Batman. They've seen all the Spider-Mans, all the kind of origins, and they kind of know. How long have we got to wait until he's got a different voice, he's got a different mask. I think it's quite good that and I'm sure as we'll watch further on that maybe Foggy will find out soon, and it might bring a lot more kind of tension when things go to shit, and and those people know they could be in trouble. So I think it's good that they've set that up.
Yeah, I like that because I'm going back to Arrow. One of the worst thing about Arrow, if you ever end up watching the show, is the fact that he hide his secrets, right? And he literally will talk to people like at arm length, wearing a little hood over his face, and they don't know who he is.
Right.
And you just sit there and just like, come on. We just had this conversation like at least farther apart, like he's on the rooftop talking down. You talking arm length. One time, there was time when he walked shoulder to shoulder people. I'm just like, and they can't figure out that's him. I'm like, this is silly. This is beyond silly. That was the beginning of me disliking Arrow, because I just couldn't take it. Like every episode, you see multiple ways that anyone could have told that that's him.
Yeah.
And it was like, and this guy walking around without anyone knowing when he's just like it's becomes silly. It becomes silly, and so with Daredevil, I like the fact that, and I like the backstory how Rosario Dawson is on his side.
Yeah, it's very good. Kind of, they're both kind of working each other out, you know. And another kind of link is that they're both kind of sparring each other. You know, how much is one going to give, you know, to the other? So yeah, that's quite key. And obviously, looking forward, I don't think it's going to be anything romantic. It's clearly kind of more of a mothering role. I don't know what you think. What do you think?
Oh, well, I think there will be.
Do you? Okay.
I don't know. I can say that I have not read any reviews online or anything, but I had the feeling that there will be a romantic triangle with Rosario Dawson and the other girl.
Yes, yeah.
You know, I mean, heck, they're both attractive.
That probably is. I don't know if there's any other. I guess there's no other female leads coming up, so
they might be. For this season, for the 10 episodes or whatever that we have, I think that's all we're gonna get is probably a little tension between the three.
Right.
You know, who knows what? We all know if this show is a hit, somewhere down in season 2 or 3, there will be Elektra, right? There will be. So that will be another romantic element in there. And who knows if my guess is right, Typhoid Mary, one of the best villain for Daredevil, could be another female. I like that fact that some of Daredevil key villains are female.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes him interesting, because there's always a romantic angle into the relationship compared to, like, you know, for Batman, for the most part, you know, most superheroes are male.
Yeah.
And most villains are male. So you don't really have any kind of love-hate relationship between villains and heroes. And so Daredevil is unique in that he does have quite a few lovers.
Sure. He's a bit of a player. He's a bit of a
he's a playboy that does not want to admit that he's a player.
Yeah. I did get that impression, you know, from the kind of character of Matt Murdock, that, you know, he will use his kind of disability as an advantage to kind of, you know, kind of hit on the kind of sympathy of women for him. And I quite like that. And I don't know, I haven't read many of the Daredevil comics. I've only read the kind of the origin and the first, I think, 2 or 3 after that, and a few others. So I don't really know much about his kind of relationship with kind of female leads after that. But
yeah. I think if you can pick up the trades to read, I think Daredevil, you know, I would say this, over the years, I enjoy Daredevil more than most titles I collect.
Yeah.
Because it's more reality based. And the relationship that he had with the Kingpin and just about many of the bad guys that you see in Daredevil comic books work for the Kingpin.
Right. Yeah.
Kingpin was, you know, is one of those characters that was created for Spider-Man, but then he became like the worst enemy of Daredevil for decades. And so you're looking at, you know, like from Bullseye to Typhoid Mary. You know, there's a whole bunch. That's why I think, you know, it's almost a given that you will see Typhoid Mary and Bullseye with the Kingpin, because, you know, I can see the Kingpin being the key villain in the show for years to come, because you know he's like the mafia of the Hell Kitchen of the whole city. So he doesn't need to show his face all the time.
No, yeah, they've kind of left it, you know, 2 episodes in without seeing him. You know, that's quite rare.
Yeah, Yeah, you always saw so far in episode 1 was his voice.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
In the limo when his henchman was reporting to him, so you just barely hear 2 sentences out of him, and that was it. And it will be interesting to see what they do. Like I said, I have said this quite a few times that I had the feeling that if this show is a hit, in the second season, you will see an introduction of the Punisher into the mix, because I think the Punisher is the perfect kind of character that will get into a tussle with Daredevil.
Yeah. Do they have the rights to the Punisher? Is that part of they got him?
Yes, they have got it back.
Okay.
They've gotten it back. So I believe what's going to happen is Punisher is the kind of character that can be almost like a key villain in the beginning for Daredevil that can draw out for multiple episodes until he say that until they kind of come to terms that they are both similar.
Yeah. That's true. That would work. Yeah.
One is a little bit more violent than the other. One is like Daredevil might kick your ass, but he's not gonna.
Yeah, one uses his fist, the other uses his gun.
Yeah, and then so in many ways they are very. So I can see Netflix going to Marvel next year and say, can we pay for Punisher? Because I think Punisher is very easily to adapt for TV, if not so more easy, because just like Daredevil, Punisher is one of those characters where the storyline need to be spread out and drawn out over multiple episodes, right? So I think it would work very well on TV. A lot of time, as much as I love movies, trying to cram everything into a 2 hours movie is just very hard.
Yes.
And I think, so I in many ways, I kind of glad that Marvel drawn out the Thanos storyline into six, 7 movies, whatever they're doing. And I don't think that's milking it, because you can't tell this massive storyline that span galaxies in 2 hours. It's just too silly, and that's all. And that's the problem with many movies. It's just like you just can't, tell a good movies in 2 hours, especially like, let's say the first Punisher movie, where you had to give a little bit of room for the origin.
Right.
And then
I must admit, I never saw either. Were there 2 Punisher films? There was one in the 90s, wasn't there? One recently, or
2, yeah.
No, I have not seen either.
Not good.
Yeah, I kind of heard that,
but if you're going to watch one, watch the second one.
Okay.
The one they call Punisher Warzone.
Right. Yeah.
That movie was was better. Okay, I would still give it a B minus. Maybe C plus. That would be my grade, like a B minus. The first one I give a C. It's not worth 2 hours of your time. Just move on. The second one is more brutal. And the guy that played the Punisher in the second movie is more believable as a Punisher, because he's just a nasty, mean guy. The first guy was more pretty boy. He's just a good-looking pretty boy, and he just doesn't come across as hateful or mean enough to be the Punisher. He's just solid, and as far as this chat, we can move on and talk about other things if you want, because now that we have talked all we can about Daredevil, are you ready?
If I was to draw any criticism of it, it would be this. I think it would be in the first episode, the scene where they have all the kind of people who work for the mob on the, I don't know where they were, on top of a building. And they're all kind of joking around and chatting, and saying there's a masked man. That, for me, was the only bit where I kind of thought it was a bit old school, a bit kind of like, would they be all talking at the top of this? I don't know. I pictured something a little bit I don't know, a bit different. I can't even say what I would want, but a bit kind of different. I felt like I'd seen that before, in a way.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing for me where I was going to go.
Okay. I agree. I think if there was any weak scene, it would have been that scenes. Because that the character that was playing the older gentleman that was kind of sarcastic.
Yeah.
That scene, I thought that was only clunky scene because it's as if these people get together for the first time. Because how he was making fun of the Chinese, the Japanese thing, and
yeah.
To me, it was clunky. I'm just like, this can't be the first time these goons get together to do business.
Right, yeah.
So for him to like be sarcastic, like he doesn't speak Chinese or Japanese, all that stuff. I'm just like, come on. So that was clunky. I agree with you. That was the only scene that I kind of was like, not so good. Right there. That was kind of clunky. In the second show, I'm trying to see if there's any.
What they did at the end was they just highlighted what each of them did. So one was kind of sorting out cocaine with a load of kind of blind immigrants, it looked like.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what's the other, wrote Japanese on something, a book or something. I can't remember. So, it was good to establish what each of them, kind of did or were doing, and then you'd be able to see kind of, Daredevil go in, and obviously he's going to go into each of these places. And
yeah, I'm kind of curious to see why they're using blind immigrants.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's up with that? So it's just,
did they kind of make them blind?
Could be, like I said, it's one of those things where I'm just like, why is everyone here blind?
Yeah.
Maybe the Kingpin does not want to be seen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I said, it's and lastly, I said I like the music. It's not.
Yeah. The music is great.
It's not overly done, but when they have that little beat that's going on, you kind of just like, you kind of can feel that Daredevil is about to kick some ass.
What about this kind of, if you're thinking about someone who hasn't read the comics, and you look at him when you see his superpowers kind of working, you can hear the heartbeat, his sense of smell, hearing someone come up the corridor. Do you like that compared to the film? We're not going inside of his head and seeing and hearing what he's doing. Kind of drip feeding you the kind of.
I'm okay with the way they did it in the TV show without showing you the radar version.
Yeah.
I'm sure that maybe down the road, because I'm sure, as we know, that costs money, right, to do something extra like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Netflix spent the money wisely enough to say we don't need that. Yeah. Now, speaking of that, the only minor complaint I have is with specifically not because I don't show it, but for example, whenever, like in the first episode, when he was asking the girl a question and she was not lying, I wish they did something where he can hear her heartbeat. Like, I can tell that your heart is not racing and you are telling the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I wish there was a few pieces of that whenever he, like, even like in the second episode where he get that guy all tied up.
Yeah.
And torture him. I wish they infused a little bit where he's just like, I can hear your heartbeat. You are lying to me. You know what I mean? But so that's the only criticism I have as far as like what else I would have done to add to those little scenes. It's subtle, but it would kind of highlight his skills.
Yeah.
But that's it, really. I don't have very much complaint. Other than that, I mean, like I said, I left watching those two shows very happy. I can't wait to see the third episode.
Exactly.
And hopefully we will have a chat.
What will happen in the third episode? Where do you think it's going?
Since I did not see the synopsis of the third episode, I can only guess that it's gonna have to do a lot more with Rosario Dawson, because I don't think they can do a. I don't think going forward they can skip having her in almost every storyline because she know who he is now.
Yeah.
So
That's
you know,
true.
so it's not gonna be something where they can't have a show where she completely disappeared from the episode doing something else like go visiting her aunt or something. But I think
Hasn't she been sent away? She was sent away to stay somewhere, wasn't she? In Oklahoma?
yes, for her safety's sake. So we'll see. Like I said, I like to see her involved. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of glad I don't know, so that I'm just gonna go into watching the show Tuesday and be surprised at whatever they're throwing at me, and hopefully we will be able to do another chat maybe next weekend or whatever when we have a time and talk about episode 3 and 4.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to try and fit them in towards the end of next week.
At least episode 3 for sure. If we have time to, if we can watch episode 4 before, and then we can do another chat with episode 3 and 4, or just 3. As far as the rest of the Netflix show, do you know when they're coming out with like Power Man and Iron Fist and all that stuff?
I have no idea. I was going to ask you similar when you're saying about series 2. Are we going to have to wait till 2018 for Daredevil? That'll be the longest forever. So I don't know. I guess they're playing it by going, okay, we'll do one of each series and see how popular it gets, and then we'll stick in the second series. Or it might work the next year. You do Iron Fist. And in terms of the fighting, there's a lot of kind of martial kind of combat scenes, and they might link it in. Daredevil might be in 5 of the 10 episodes, and they continue his story. I don't know.
Hopefully we don't have to wait a whole year for season 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean. How like The Walking Dead. Are you a fan of The Walking Dead TV show?
No, the ones I watch are Game of Thrones, House of Cards. Just caught up with Mad Men. Walking Dead, I watched the first 6 episodes, but what I try and do is obviously watch it with Rebecca. And Walking Dead is just too far. So I slipped in like I thought 6 or 8 episodes, and I did start to enjoy it. But I'm not a huge zombie fan. I like realism. I
can tell you, I like The Walking Dead much more in the last 2 seasons than the first 2 seasons.
Okay.
Because after the first season, when you watch it, it was very gory. It's
do they lay off the ball then? Do they?
And I think now it's more character-driven storylines. In the first season, it was a whole lot of smashing, crushing skulls, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
They still have that on a weekly basis, but at the same time, it's more about the character and the story arc on how they survive. But the reason why I brought in The Walking Dead is The Walking Dead season is very short. But they also bring in the next season fairly short, so you don't have to wait a year. It's like every 6 months.
Right.
So I like that model more because instead of like a typical Law and Order NBC show would be 24 episodes over 8 months.
Yeah.
And then you wait, until season. What The Walking Dead did was they would shoot, a dozen episodes, and then you take 6 months off, and then you get another dozen episodes, and you get 6 months off, and you get a steady shows, small. It make the wait more tolerable.
Yeah, no, definitely. I didn't realize they did that. I really didn't realize they did that. I think with kind of House of Cards as an example, because I guess Robin Wright and Kevin Spacey are quite big actors that often do movies or theatre, they kind of have to stick to that yearly kind of contract. But if they're, these actors, apart from Rosario Dawson, I haven't really kind of heard of, or probably don't have a lot of work, big work, and this might be a big thing. So they might go, yeah, let's do it. Let's just rattle them out.
Yeah, I mean, before we go, we can talk a little. Now, it's House of Cards. You watched the whole season 2, right?
Yeah, and 3.
I thought the last episode, I thought near the end, I'm sitting there and I was saying to myself, she is going to announce, I thought she was going to divorce him and run against him.
Right.
But because, I'm glad that character went that way, because I'm just like, she can't put up with his bullshit much more. She's just, but it was a shocker. It was a shocker still that she walked out on him. Yeah. But I was prepared for her to say, I'm announcing my candidacy for the presidency.
That's true. I think we should put a disclaimer across the screen saying, stop listening here if you haven't watched season 2.
Spoiler!
I mean, it's impossible. I really wanted to look up. I like quite looking up who the directors are, who composed the music. So the annoying thing is, if you kind of search, I don't know, Daredevil season 1, because they're already out there, often in Google, you'll just already see someone with like review, and it might contain everything. And one misclick, or going on Internet Movie Database, and you see the forum posts or Reddit or something, and then you know everything. I think that's the danger. That's the only kind of thing where you need to kind of.
It is. So before we go, how's the wedding preparation?
Very good. Yeah, it's about a month. It's the 9th of May, and we have a few things to do. It's kind of mainly making things for the wedding, kind of signs. It's outside in kind of a woodland. We're renting a campsite, and we're getting some tents. We've got this kind of giant yurt where we're having the reception, and we're getting married in a church in Rebecca's village down the road. So yeah.
Wow, May 9th? May
9th, yeah.
And where are you going for your honeymoon?
Well, controversially, we may not have a honeymoon. I can see your face like.
Huh? What?
Honeymoon? What's the point getting married? No, we've been really lucky to have travelled to so many locations. We've been to South America, we've been to Australia, been to New Zealand. We try and go on holiday, once a year, and I think we have just decided to either do something in our country, in the UK, or go to Scotland and save a bit of money and put that towards the wedding and other stuff. So yeah,
to be honest, when I got married, we did not go on a honeymoon either.
Really? Okay, that's good to know.
So we kind of saved the honeymoon for 3 months later.
Yeah.
We had a trip planned before, so when the time come to decide on the wedding date, we're just like, if we're gonna go somewhere in October, let's be our honeymoon, because the wedding's in August. We can wait 3 months.
Yeah.
So for us, that's what happened. We didn't have a honeymoon either, so that was a fairly quick engagement and wedding, right? Did you get engaged over Christmas?
Yeah, in December. Yeah, beginning of December, and it would have been 5 months. So it's pretty quick turnaround compared to kind of, I guess, most people. We've managed to do it. We make quick decisions, so you can't really go. And a lot of family and friends going, what do you do for the wedding? What do you do for the wedding? And if you can do it 5 months, you don't have to answer their question about 3 times.
Well, same thing with us. We got engaged in April, married August. So, it's once you know. That's for me. I'm just like, I know, and there's no regret. So, for me, those that get engaged for 2 or 3 years, I'm just like, why take that long?
Yeah, I can understand it. Maybe if you've maybe been we've been together for 6 years, so if you've been together maybe half that time, I can kind of understand it. But no, I think we're just ready to get on.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Nick.
It's exciting. It's fun. I mean, like I said, you guys, you are so young. You are 20, mid-20, right?
28, yeah.
I'm old enough to be your dad, for God's sakes. It's like I said, it's good. It's you have to start. So it's the same thing with collecting. At your age, 28, you got 30 more years.
That's true. Yeah.
It's the hobby is young.
I know.
Me, that's a different story. When you get to my age, it's like the hobby is getting old. No, it's not that I'm old. I'm 48, so it's not like.
Not at all. No.
But
I mean, I've got quite a young family. So my mum is, I think she's 50 or 51. That's bad to know, but yeah, no, she's 50. Older. So I've got quite a young family, and yeah, it's.
Like I said, it's. I'm 48, so I'm fairly young. My dad is going to be 81 this year.
Yeah, that's great.
And my wife parent is even older. So we have good genes, and we're likely to live many. So, whenever people ask me, like, why are you talking about quitting the hobbies and all this stuff, I'm just like, I don't know if I will still collect comic books 20 years from now. I can't see more than 5 years ahead of me. I don't know. I try not to look even a year ahead. But at the same time, I do know for me, things change a lot as I had my son.
Yeah.
And there's other things that bring me more joy or more importance in my life. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm very new to collecting, but I've kind of seen it kind of ebb and flow in terms of my priorities in life, and and your enjoyment of other hobbies. For example, I started playing hockey, and at the time I started playing sport, I kind of stopped collecting for a couple of months, and then I've kind of stopped that for a bit because it's end of season, and then I've kind of got back into it, and I'm just all I'm doing is kind of scrolling through covers on eBay or on websites.
I think that's healthy. I mean, one of the things that I don't like to see people go is some people, at least the newer collector, they get into the hobby and they go in full speed. Like they go into a binge where they had to buy a million things and spend everything they have and constantly have unboxing and video hauls and all that stuff. And to me, that's a recipe for burnout.
Right.
It's like you can't go full speed like this. Because they're sprinting. They think the hobby and enjoyment is like 100-yard dash. It's not. It's you can enjoy. I enjoyed it for 35 years now. Take your time and enjoy it. And it's all the part. If you do in moderation, like just like an old man giving advice, moderation is a good thing.
I think if I was in America, though, I think I would be buying a lot more. I think what has given me a kind of like a constraint is that the prices and the quality and the amount of comics in the UK are far, far lower. You can't find them, or you can't find a good enough deal, because it's been shipped over or something, so the price has been really tough. So it does mean I'm much more of a, the longer I've kind of been collecting, and I know what the market price is, and what you say is kind of a good market value, buying it that. I've learned that, and, just not just wait, or just, it's not worth spending that much on something, however much you want it. So,
it's like I said, we yes, we are spoiled over here. Over here, it's insanely almost too much comics. It's too much, too easy access. and it drives people crazy because they can't help themselves buying stuff. I'm just glad I am off that mindset. I can tell you I buy so little in the last year that it's almost like nothing. I have fun with my books. I don't really feel a need to buy. And it's not because I have everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff I don't, but because I sold a lot of stuff, and one of the things, I tell my friend all the time, like, if I sit there and say, if I sold that book, why do I want to buy it again? I had it, I enjoyed it, and I sold it. Done. Move on. And so the hobby changed a lot for me now at my age, and sure, if 10 years from now Anthony developed a passion for comic books, then I might not sell anything. Right? It's like, I don't know what at his age, he's going to be 8 next week. So I don't know what he will like in 10 years. Who knows? Like I said, for now, I just know that if I need to sell the books in order to afford his college educations or something down the road, then I can sell it. But other than that, there's no urgency to sell anything, and I certainly, there's no urgency for me to buy anything. I'm done buying. The prices are crazy.
I was really interested when you did that video the other day about the kind of market report, because I don't tend to follow the auction houses, and especially the 9.8, 9.6s of the keys. So it's really interesting to see how much really some of those kind of Bronze Age books are going for, and you just kind of your jaw drops. But then you mentioned the Amazing Spider-Man 50 6.0, and I was like, oh, that's reasonable. I can't believe I missed that. I think
I would pay that money for that 6.0.
Yeah.
I have a 6.0, and shamefully, I think I paid more.
Right.
So I'm just like, gee, if I can get a 6.0 that look like that for $200, I would buy it and crack it out of the slab in a nanosecond. So yeah, it's sure I would do more. Like the big auction house has big auction on a monthly basis. So what I would do in the future is every month I will review the result of the auctions and just pull out a dozen or so interesting books to talk about. Because it's always I could have talked about 3 times more books, but I figure I don't need to talk about every book. Anyhow, it's been 1 hour, and we have successfully talked for 1 hour and not bore everybody else to death.
Hopefully not. They might have switched off about the wedding and gone, "Oh, wedding, see you later." But we came back anyhow, in a kind of roundabout way.
Yeah, so you gotta be. All of my chats kind of go all over the place because there's just too many things to talk about. But anyhow, we'll talk again hopefully in a week or 2.
Hopefully. To everyone watching, don't go and binge watch them. Okay, you gotta keep in line with this process, 2 a week.
Yes.
If we're doing it, you do it.
I promise I will do maybe 1 Tuesday and 1 Friday or Saturday before the next chat, but that's it. 2 a week.
Okay. One thing, because you kind of work in law in a way.
Yeah.
Is that an attraction as well with the show? Because there will be an element of kind of law, or is that no interest to you?
No, actually I do. My favorite TV show for the longest time was Law and Order. Okay, yeah. I watched that show. If you watch my personal history, the family that raised me the last couple of years of high school was an Irish family, and the dad was a retired cop. So he's very detective oriented,
Yeah.
and his son, my stepbrother, or whatever you want to call it, is actually an agent for the FBI. And then so I grew up in that household of a lot of law enforcement discussion all the time.
Yeah.
So I have the mind of a detective. I love watching detective shows. I love cop shows because my wife hates it because a lot of time I know I can figure out the plot before the plot unveil itself, because I'm just like, I think this is what's good. So that's how my mind works. I'm a detective in many ways in the way my brain works. So I like that aspect of many shows that have law and order aspect to it.
Yeah.
It's just my personality, and I like courtroom. If I don't dislike attorneys so much, I would have been a good lawyer.
I can see that. Yeah, I forgot to ask you that earlier, and I just wanted to slip in.
No, like I said, I do. I like it. I've been in courtroom so many times, and probably my biggest assets to lawyers is that I have a knack for reading people. It's one of those weird things where we can go into a different chat another time, but there was a time where I was recruited to work for the FBI.
Okay.
I had because my brother worked for the FBI anyway.
I'm worried you can hear my heartbeat through the screen. I'm really worried now.
But I joke with my wife that I can spot a liar after like 2 sentences. I just good at reading people for some bizarre reason. But that's another video for another time. But no, I do. I enjoy. So for my business, I am very good at. My biggest asset is not sitting on the stand as an expert.
Mm.
My biggest asset to the lawyers are sitting there and listening to whoever it is that's on the stand, because I can break apart everything that they said. I'm probably best used as a strategist, because I can sit in the room and write down pages and pages of notes and tell the attorney, this is what you need to ask, this is what you need to cross-examine, this is what was wrong, this is what's inconsistent. My brain just worked that way. Where it's I think that's my best assets. It's that I'm very good in the courtroom. As an expert as well as someone that will break down the other side.
Awesome. We have a real life Daredevil here, guys.
Well, anyhow, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure.
And, we'll follow with the next chat maybe in a week.
Sure.
Okay. Later, man. Enjoy your Sunday. Say hi to the wife.
Pre-wife.
Pre-wife. Bye.
Bye.